Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in and talk a little bit about breath and curiosity as a very strong metabolic force. I know this might be kind of a weird thing to talk about, but I will explain further. I also want to introduce you to my other child. I have a 3-year-old, but this is my 4-legged child, Lola. She is peacefully sleeping behind me. Anyway, it's so much fun to work from home and have my baby with me at all times. So I just wanted to talk about breath and curiosity, as I said, as a metabolic force. You know, a lot of us think about metabolism and the effect that metabolism is the sum of all of the different physiological functions in our body, which it is, but we often don't take into account the powerful effect of, hi Don, if you're watching, how are you? We often don't take into effect the power of our thoughts and our emotions on our metabolism as well. So in a lot of the work that I have done with mindful and intuitive eating, this is a principle that I talk to my patients and my groups about, because it is such an important feature of the mindful and intuitive eating journey. Our metabolism is actually a lot more than just the physiological side, right? Our emotions and our thoughts actually affect our ability and our resilience to stress, which does have an impact on our metabolism. Okay, so it's just something to consider as you're moving forward in your journey, whether it's with food or something else in the mindfulness realm, that our thoughts and our emotions actually have a strong effect on our physiological body, so on our physical body. And it's important to remember that because that influences our metabolism and how we digest and assimilate food. So to help us with this stress response, I think it's number one, really important to practice breathing around meal times. So I had mentioned this in a post earlier today about how it's important to breathe just a couple deep breaths before we actually sit down and eat or consume a meal. Just a few deep breaths can help us get more centered, more present with our food. It also gives us a chance to interact with our food more. I don't know about you, but I have found myself eating in the car, on the run. I have a 3-year-old and she is eating breakfast, and sometimes I nibble on her breakfast if she doesn't finish it or while she's eating, trying to get everything done. And it's very easy to get out of the present moment, but if we are able to sit down for a meal at least once a day and just practice some deep breaths before we consume our meal, that actually acts as a way to support and turn on our metabolism and our metabolic forces, because that presence helps influence hormone fluctuations, which I'm not going to get into, but it helps influence hormone fluctuations that impact the way that we digest and assimilate food. So the next time that you sit down for a meal, it's a really cool thing to do, whether you're by yourself or with some other people, but to take like 4 or 5 just really deep breaths. You can close your eyes, you can keep them open, and then allow yourself to sit with the food, experience it, smell it, taste it, just a small taste of it, look at it, notice and observe any differences in texture or smell, aroma. There's all kinds of things that go into a meal. I'm not even touching on all of them, but with those 4 to 5 deep breaths, we allow ourselves to experience more of the meal before we actually consume it. And there's a really fun name for that. It's called Cephalic phase digestive response. So by just doing that breathing pattern, we actually turn on the hormones that help support digestion and assimilation, and we slow down those hormones that tend to put us into kind of a fight or flight state, or a state where it's harder for our body to actually digest food. So just a nice little thing to do. Just a simple breath can help increase our metabolism and the force of our body to turn food into what we need for energy. And there's lots of research to support that. I'll link that as I can find it. But the other thing that's so important, and it goes back to how we look at our food, and some of the response that we have, the stress responses that often are associated with meal times, especially for women who have been bombarded with messages from the media, from the social media platforms, from the other types of media platforms about what we should be eating. Oftentimes we're put into a state of stress when we think about food, right? And we do a certain diet or eating plan out of this should space, right? I should eat this because it's better for me. I shouldn't eat that. So if we're caught eating the Snickers bar in our car, we're going to end up feeling bad. There's a lot of guilt. And guess what? That actually elicits stress hormones in our body that make digestion, that impair digestion, make it harder to turn that Snickers bar into energy for the body. And actually the stress hormones that are associated with that guilt feeling around eating something quote unquote bad for us can actually promote other unwanted side effects, such as weight gain and bloating, indigestion, and just generally like feeling like crap, right? Depression, anxiety, all those things kind of tie together. So instead of when we look at a plate and we look at it in a space of guilt, because we've been trained by the diet industry to say this food is good and this food is bad, I encourage you to just try it on the question of to try on the space of curiosity when you're going into an eating a food or a meal or a snack, whatever it is. Really get curious about what's going on in your mental space when you look at this food. What kind of relationship do you have with it? Is your relationship with that food is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? And without going in and trying to interact with those emotions and feelings, just get curious about them and heighten the awareness, because awareness, as I will talk about in future posts, is incredibly powerful when it comes to increasing and supporting your metabolism as well. So curiosity and breathing. So the next time you sit down for a meal, if you're interested in trying this out, just seeing if it works for you, I highly encourage you to take a few deep breaths. 4 to 5 is ideal. You can close your eyes if you'd like, and you don't have to if you don't want to. Look at your food. Take a moment to feel the emotions you have around that food without judgment, right? So say it's a bowl of rice and someone in your past has told you that rice is terrible for you. It makes your blood sugar go high, whatever it is, whatever kind of messaging comes in, just bring curiosity to that space and ask yourself, why those messages have, or why those stories or beliefs around that particular food are there for you. Is it because someone told you? Is it because you had a personal experience with the food? And this really sets the stage for curiosity on your journey with mindful and intuitive eating. And it's been amazing, just those 2 little things can create powerful shifts in a person's experience with their meal. Just those 2 little things. They're absolutely free. They don't take much time, but they can be incredibly powerful to help you start to transition yourself from that space of eating food from a diet or restriction space into a space of eating a food from curiosity and mindfulness. And it sets the stage for learning how to become a mindful eater. So I hope that was helpful for you. If you have any questions, pop them in the space below here. And without further ado, you guys have a great day.